The film opens with a young woman named Heather rushing through a subway station with her two best friends, Amy and Connie. They are sprinting to catch a train, excited and determined not to miss the start of their long, planned holiday. The three of them are about to travel across Europe, visiting famous cities, taking countless photos, and collecting joyful memories before adult life fully takes over. While riding the train toward their final stop, Amy notices a man watching her from across the carriage. Bursting with excitement, she points him out to Heather and Connie, convinced that this attractive stranger cannot take his eyes off her. When the man walks past, Amy suddenly abandons her friends and follows him without hesitation. From a brief exchange between Heather and Connie, it becomes clear that Amy joined this trip to forget a cheating ex-boyfriend, which explains why she is so easily drawn to someone new. Even so, Heather and Connie decide to let Amy enjoy the moment and chase a bit of happiness. At the same time, another man appears. His name is Jack. Without much explanation, he climbs onto the luggage rack above Heather's seat and lies down to sleep.
Hey, excuse me, can you hold that for a second?
The strange behavior leaves Heather and Connie exchanging confused looks. A short while later, Jack wakes up and notices the book Heather is reading, The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. This sparks a conversation as Jack shares his thoughts on Hemingway and casually mentions that women rarely show interest in the author's work. Heather responds by explaining that she actually finds Hemingway fascinating, including his complicated and controversial personal life. She soon realizes that despite being complete strangers, Jack keeps the conversation going, interrupting and engaging as if they already know each other. Jack eventually introduces himself properly and asks Heather's name. He then asks why she is taking a night train to Barcelona, and Heather explains that the city is the final destination of her trip. When she asks the same question, Jack admits that he rides night trains to help himself focus on reading, then reveals that he is carrying the exact same book. That small coincidence becomes the first spark of attraction between them. This is the map that leads to you. When the train arrives at the station, Amy is still with the man she met earlier while Jack stays close to Heather and even introduces himself to Connie. As they walk together, Amy returns with visible excitement and explains that the man's name is Victor, he is from England, and he has invited them to a nightclub called Incendio. Jack also introduces himself to Amy, who immediately compliments his watch. Eventually, the three women say goodbye and walk away, leaving Jack without a chance to ask for Heather's phone number. Later, as they explore the city, Amy teases Heather about the obvious chemistry she noticed between Heather and Jack. Heather brushes it off, distracted instead by soap bubbles floating through the air. The three friends laugh freely, chasing the bubbles and enjoying a simple, carefree moment during their journey. That night at Incendio, Amy is shocked when Jack suddenly appears with his friend Rafe. Their presence is not a coincidence since Jack overheard Amy mention the club back at the station. Connie heads off to get drinks with Rafe, while Jack invites Heather outside so they can talk away from the pounding music. Once outside, Jack admits that he came to the club just to see Heather and that he knew where to find her because of Amy's conversation. When Heather asks about his job, Jack explains that he is currently unemployed but has done all kinds of rough work in the past, from cleaning supermarkets and washing cars to assisting a spiritual medium. Heather then shares her own background. She is from Texas, studied in Boston, and is preparing to move to New York to begin working at a bank. Their different backgrounds quickly become obvious, yet Jack suggests that the strongest relationships often come from opposites, like contradictions that somehow complete each other. He makes it clear that this idea does not mean he is trying to claim Heather as his girlfriend. Their conversation pauses when Rafe and Connie return. Connie admits that she and Rafe instantly connected and plan to head back to the hotel where Rafe is staying. She even assumes that Heather might leave with Jack as well, especially since Amy is still busy with Victor, who has taken her to a private party at his house. Not long after, Jack and Heather are seen wandering through the streets of Barcelona while continuing their discussion about Ernest Hemingway. Jack corrects an earlier detail, explaining that the author was married 4 times, not 3. His fourth wife was Mary Welsh, and Hemingway spent 15 years with her after giving up on his previous marriages. From there, Jack suggests doing something reckless and unplanned by riding a cable car up to a tall tower in the city. For Heather, who has spent her life carefully planning every step in a logical way, this kind of spontaneous idea feels unfamiliar and intimidating. Still, she follows Jack, drawn to his energy and his fearless approach to life. They sneak into the tower, climb the stairs to the top, and step into the cable car. Inside, Jack begins to open up about his family. He explains that his great-grandfather was a soldier during the war and kept a diary, recording his travels and his visit to places like the Sagrada Familia. By following the locations written in that diary, Jack feels he is honoring and remembering his ancestor. Heather admits that riding the cable car was never part of her plan, and she is not used to acting on impulse. In that moment, Jack kisses her, and to her own surprise, Heather responds gently. Their conversation continues until they fall asleep inside the cabin without realizing it. When they wake up in the morning, they are shocked to find the cable car moving again with them still inside. Since they had entered illegally, security staff prepare to detain them, but Jack quickly comes up with an excuse and rushes away with Heather. Sometime later, they are waiting for Amy at the hotel, worried because she has not returned and their train is about to depart. Amy eventually arrives and reveals that Victor is actually a thief who ran off with all her belongings, including her money and passport. Heather and Connie panic, imagining the worst, but Jack calmly takes control of the situation. He convinces Amy to lead them back to the house where the party took place the night before. Amy struggles to remember the address and route, but they eventually manage to track Victor down. When Victor tries to shut the door on them, Jack and Rafe stop him and force their way inside. Terrified, Victor flees, afraid they will call the police. In the end, they recover all of Amy's belongings and even discover a large stash of cash. Jack then suggests delaying their train and spending a few more days together, using Victor's money to enjoy themselves. Heather questions the morality of this plan, suspecting the cash may be stolen, but Jack argues that Victor was the one who stole it, not them. To him, using the money feels justified, since someone like Victor does not deserve to keep it. With that belief in mind, they decide to take advantage of the opportunity in front of them. They rent a luxury car and begin driving around the city. Amy is still clearly upset, but the others try to cheer her up, reminding her that this very incident is what led them to an unexpected adventure. The journey takes them to a stunning coastal spot with a wide open view of the sea, a perfect place for group photos. Jack, however, refuses to be in the picture. He lets them pose together while he steps away, choosing instead to quietly enjoy the scenery. They spend the rest of the day doing lighthearted and enjoyable things until Heather joins Connie and Amy for a swim. Heather admits that she has felt a spark with Jack ever since the cable car incident, and even shares that they have already kissed. Not long after, Jack takes Heather to another location and explains that his great-grandfather once visited this place as well. In that moment, Jack invites Heather to dance to the music of an elderly street musician. They move freely to the rhythm, letting themselves sink into the moment without plans or expectations. While on a boat later that day, Amy reveals that she will not be returning home the next day as originally planned because she has decided to follow a different path. At first, Heather and Connie disagree, worried about her. But seeing how determined Amy is to seek a new experience that could truly change her life, they eventually agree and respect her decision. The day passes with laughter and a sense of freedom, and they savor every second together. The next day, Amy, Connie, and Raif decide to leave, giving Jack and Heather time alone. The two of them visit a historic site mentioned in Jack's great-grandfather's diary. There, Jack notices a young woman more focused on taking selfies than truly experiencing the place. He reflects on how many people care more about showing happiness to others than actually feeling it themselves. He also points out that the genius architect Antoni Gaudí created his masterpieces not to be displayed superficially, but to be lived in and deeply appreciated. Heather takes offense at this observation, wondering if Jack also thought she and her friends were shallow when they took photos earlier. She calls him hypocritical and storms off in frustration. Jack quickly follows, apologizes, and explains himself. After hearing him out, Heather softens and forgives him. Jack then offers to drive her to Bilbao, and she accepts. During the journey, Jack opens up about his past. He admits that he once wasted too much time worrying about how others judged him. A serious health scare forced him to realize how suddenly life can change. Since then, he has stopped obsessing over the future and chosen to live in the present, appreciating each moment as it comes. Their trip ends at the airport, where Jack unexpectedly asks Heather to delay her flight. He suggests that they use the money they found at Victor's house to keep traveling and enjoying life together. After thinking it over, Heather agrees. They continue their journey, choosing adventure over routine and spontaneity over careful planning. Heather calls her father to let him know she is postponing her return. After spending time wandering and taking in the scenery, Jack brings Heather to a luxurious home. The people there welcome Jack warmly and receive Heather with the same kindness. As they sit together, the hosts explain that Jack has visited before and that his great-grandfather once served alongside their own grandfather during the war. That evening is filled with laughter and a strong sense of togetherness. At one point, Jack proudly tells the family that Heather can play the guitar. When Heather performs and sings, everyone is clearly impressed by her talent.
What's going on?
The night ends with the two of them falling asleep on opposite sides of the sofa, facing each other. The next morning, as they spend quiet time together, Jack shares his belief that God, the universe, or whatever name one chooses, will eventually give people what they truly want. He believes that all it takes is focusing on that desire with complete sincerity. Heather admits that she does not fully believe in the universe working that way, but she hopes Jack is right. Not long after, they spend the night together, finally acknowledging their relationship as a couple and giving in to the feelings that have grown throughout the journey. The following morning, Heather wakes up to find Jack in the bathtub, reading his great-grandfather's diary. Jack talks about how happy he feels retracing his ancestors' steps, visiting every place mentioned in those old writings, and how he wishes he could live like this forever. They then take a bus to a bull running event, another location once visited by Jack's great-grandfather. While watching the bulls run, Jack becomes overly excited and impulsively joins the crowd. He stumbles and gets injured, and is rushed to the hospital while Heather scolds him for his reckless behavior. Despite this setback, their journey continues. Sometime later, Heather is seen video calling Connie and Amy. During the call, Connie shares that her relationship with Rafe is progressing very quickly. Heather admits that her time with Jack has felt incredible, to the point where it almost feels like they are living together. She realizes that she has fallen in love with Jack, and decides that she wants to talk to him about her hope that he will return to New York with her. One day, while they are riding a train, Jack's phone rings. The call is from the hospital, informing him that his X-ray results show something abnormal and that he needs to come back for further tests. Jack ignores the warning and ends the call without telling Heather, choosing to keep the news to himself. Not long after, as they sit together enjoying a drink, Heather discovers an extra piece of paper hidden inside Jack's great-grandfather's diary. The page describes a small village called Santa Pau, where the locals dance for 6 straight days during a festival, dancing as if they are challenging death itself. The paper nearly blows off the table, but they manage to catch it just in time. Jack asks Heather to keep it safe, suggesting that maybe his great-grandfather wanted her to be the one to look after it. Soon after, Heather receives a call from her father, checking in on her. During the conversation, Heather describes Jack as a polite young man retracing his great-grandfather's wartime journey to honor his memory. She even mentions that the trip sounds like something that could one day become a book, and Jack accidentally overhears it. Jack then makes it clear that he is not on this journey to write a book or gain anything from it. He is doing this to truly live, to honor his ancestor, and to enjoy every moment without any other purpose. Hearing this, Heather finally opens up and admits how anxious she feels about their approaching separation. She explains that the idea of a book was only mentioned so that Jack would appear respectable in her father's eyes. Heather asks Jack to be honest about the future of their relationship, but Jack grows uncomfortable and explains that he does not think about the future at all, choosing instead to live entirely in the present. Heather confesses that she cannot stop worrying about what lies ahead and is afraid of losing him. She presses Jack for certainty, but he becomes overwhelmed and chooses to walk away, leaving her alone. That same night, Jack returns to Heather and tells her that he has already bought a ticket and plans to fly with her to New York. Together, they visit one final place that Jack's great-grandfather once traveled to, and there they plant a tree as a symbol of memory and closure. For the first time, Jack agrees to take a photo with Heather, choosing to preserve the moment instead of simply living through it. Before long, they arrive at the airport. Suddenly, Jack receives a call from the hospital, urging him to come in immediately. A short while later, Jack tells Heather that he is just going to the restroom and will be right back. Heather suggests that he leave his bag behind, but Jack refuses, joking that he is used to carrying its weight. Just before he walks away with tears in his eyes, Jack tells her that the days he spent with Heather were the happiest of his life. Heather senses that something feels off. Half joking and half worried, she wonders if he always acts this strangely, just to go to the bathroom. Jack forces a smile and walks away.
Continuando l'imbarco sul volo 2463 per New York JFK. I passeggeri seduti nella zona 2 possono...
Hours pass, and Heather keeps waiting. She sends message after message, but none are answered. Thinking that Jack may have already boarded the plane, she eventually gets on herself. At that moment, Heather receives one final message from Jack, containing nothing but an apology. She immediately replies, asking what happened, but the message fails to send because Jack has blocked her. The realization breaks her heart. When she reunites with her friends, Heather tells them everything. Together, they search for reasons behind Jack's sudden disappearance, and the most reasonable conclusion is that he ran away from the relationship. Sometime later, Heather is seen back at work, still weighed down by sadness. Eventually, she returns to her father's home and asks how he managed to survive when her mother left them years ago. Her father explains that the first thing they had to accept back then was that her departure was not his fault, and not Heather's either. He advises her to focus on the positive and not allow one man to destroy her life. Later on, Heather speaks with her friends over the phone. Connie shares that her relationship with Rafe has grown serious and that he may soon propose. After the call, Heather opens up honestly to her father and admits that she is no longer sure she wants to keep her current job. She confesses that she is afraid of disappointing him. Her father reassures her, saying that he would be more disappointed if she continued doing something she does not love. Not long after, Heather sends a message to Jack, explaining that she has tried to understand the reason behind his sudden departure, but has found no answers. She writes that it is time for her to move on and wishes him the best. Around the same time, Heather receives a message from Connie announcing that she is finally getting married to Rafe and inviting everyone to the wedding. Before long, the wedding day arrives. The ceremony goes smoothly, filled with laughter, warm wishes, and heartfelt joy from all the guests. While dancing with Rafe, Heather briefly asks about Jack. Rafe explains that Jack once sent a gift along with a letter for Heather but said nothing more. He then goes inside, retrieves the letter, and hands it to her. As Heather opens it, the words written by Jack come alive in her mind. In the letter, Jack admits that disappearing at the airport was a serious mistake, one that is hard to forgive. Watching Heather board the plane alone was the most painful moment of his life. At the time, he felt he had no other choice. Jack reveals that he had been hiding his illness and his fear that the cancer might return. When his condition suddenly worsened, his future became uncertain. He realized that he could not ask Heather to witness the possible end of his life, so he chose to leave, believing it would give her a chance to find happiness without him. Jack also writes about how deeply he misses Heather. With every passing month, his memories of her grow stronger. The short days they spent together feel like a film he keeps replaying in his mind, afraid those moments might fade. Over time, Jack comes to understand that all his travels and his search through the old diary were never really about history. They were an escape from reality. The diary was not a cure or a path to peace, but a map that led him to Heather. He still keeps it and reads it with a new perspective, because meeting Heather gave meaning to every struggle he endured. As Heather reads these words, she remembers their conversation about Santa Puo, the small village where people dance for 6 full days during a festival, dancing as if challenging death itself. With renewed determination, Heather decides to go there to find Jack. She says goodbye to her friends and begins another journey, this time driven by love. Heather arrives in the village while the festival is in full swing. The locals are dancing, laughing, and celebrating life with vibrant energy. She moves through the crowd with her heart racing, hoping for one last chance to see Jack. Then she spots him among the people, and their eyes meet. Jack admits that he left because he was afraid of stealing Heather's future, while knowing that his own time might be limited. Heather looks at him and reminds him of the words he once spoke about dancing in the face of death. The film closes with them standing together in the middle of the festival, surrounded by music and movement, choosing to cherish every remaining moment. Heather embraces her feelings. Jack responds with a gentle kiss, and together they dance side by side, ready to face whatever fate awaits them. So the moral of the story is sometimes a random trip, a bad decision, and a fearless idiot can teach you more about life than any well-planned future.